The old Victorian house, once a haven of quiet solitude, now hummed with a tense energy. Agent Davies and his team had transformed Eleanor's living room into a makeshift command center, their laptops glowing in the dim light, their voices hushed as they pored over ancient texts and digital archives. The discovery of the hidden library, the existence of a secret society, had escalated the investigation from a local mystery to a global pursuit of hidden knowledge. Eleanor, despite her age, was an active participant in the investigation, her sharp mind and insightful observations proving invaluable. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, a feeling that she was finally fulfilling her destiny, the legacy passed down through her family. The team's research revealed that the secret society, known as the Luminary Brotherhood, was far more than just a group of scholars and mystics. They were a powerful organization, their influence stretching across centuries, their hands shaping the course of history. They were the keepers of forbidden knowledge, the guardians of ancient secrets, and the manipulators of unseen forces. They discovered that the hidden library, the repository of their knowledge, was not just a collection of books and artifacts. It was a nexus of power, a place where the boundaries between dimensions blurred, where the veil between the seen and unseen was thin. The locket, the key to this hidden realm, was not just a symbol of lineage. It was a conduit, a tool to unlock the library's power. It was also a target, a coveted object that the Luminary Brotherhood would stop at nothing to retrieve. Agent Davies, realizing the danger Eleanor was in, increased security around the house, transforming it into a fortress. He knew that the Brotherhood was watching, waiting for an opportunity to strike. The investigation took a chilling turn when they discovered a series of coded messages, hidden within the pages of Eleanor's great-grandfather's journal. The messages, when deciphered, revealed a series of locations, coordinates that pointed to ancient sites around the world, places where the Luminary Brotherhood held secret gatherings and conducted their rituals. They also discovered a name that sent a shiver down their spines: the Architect. It was the name of the leader of the Luminary Brotherhood, a figure shrouded in mystery, a being of immense power. The journal spoke of the Architect's ultimate goal: to unlock the hidden library's full potential, to unleash its power upon the world. He sought to reshape reality, to bend the very fabric of existence to his will. Eleanor, remembering her chilling dream, realized that the Weaver, the figure she had encountered in her vision, was likely an agent of the Architect, a being tasked with retrieving the locket. The dream, she realized, was not just a nightmare. It was a warning, a glimpse into the dark forces that were converging upon her. She was no longer just a target. She was a key player in a cosmic battle, a battle for the fate of reality itself. Agent Davies, sensing her unease, assured her that they would protect her, that they would stop the Architect. But Eleanor knew that they were facing an enemy that was far more powerful than they could imagine. One night, as a storm raged outside, the power went out, plunging the house into darkness. The silence was broken only by the howling wind and the rhythmic drumming of rain against the windows. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a figure cloaked in darkness, its face hidden behind a mask of bone. It was the Weaver, his eyes glowing with an unearthly light. He moved with unnatural speed, his movements fluid and silent. He bypassed the security measures, slipping through the darkness like a phantom. Agent Davies and his team, caught off guard, scrambled to react. But the Weaver was too fast, too skilled. He moved through the house, disabling the security systems, neutralizing the agents one by one. He reached Eleanor's room, his eyes fixed on the locket, which lay on her bedside table. He reached for it, his fingers brushing against its surface. But Eleanor, despite her fear, refused to surrender. She grabbed a heavy candlestick, her hand trembling, and struck the Weaver across the face. He recoiled, his mask shattering, revealing his face. It was Jake the gardener. Eleanor's heart sank. She had trusted him, believed in his sincerity. But he had betrayed her, played her for a fool. "Why, Jake?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why are you doing this?" Jake, his eyes filled with a desperate intensity, replied, "I had no choice, Mrs. Caldwell. They made me do it. They promised me power, knowledge, a chance to change my life." He lunged for the locket, his eyes filled with a fanatical zeal. But before he could reach it, Agent Davies appeared, his gun drawn. "Step away from the locket, Jake," he said, his voice firm. Jake, realizing he was cornered, hesitated. He looked at Eleanor, then at Agent Davies, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and regret. Then he made a sudden move, reaching into his coat pocket. He pulled out a small silver dagger, its blade gleaming in the dim light. He raised the dagger, his hand trembling, and plunged it into his own chest. He collapsed to the floor, his eyes wide with shock, his breath rattling in his throat. "They won't get it," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "They won't get the locket." He took one last breath, and then he was gone. The room was silent, the only sound the howling wind and the drumming rain. Eleanor looked at Jake's lifeless body, her heart filled with a profound sadness. She realized that he was just a pawn, a victim of the Luminary Brotherhood's manipulation. They had used him, exploited his vulnerabilities, and then discarded him like a broken toy. The threat was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. And now, they knew that they would stop at nothing to get what they wanted. The chilling silence that followed Jake's self-inflicted demise hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the lengths the Luminary Brotherhood would go to secure their objectives. Eleanor, Agent Davies, and the remaining team members stared at the lifeless form, a profound sense of unease settling over them. The betrayal, the manipulation, the sheer desperation of Jake's actions painted a grim picture of the forces they were facing. Agent Davies, his face grim, ordered the scene secured. The locket, now more than ever, was a focal point, its power a magnet for darkness. The team's focus shifted from defense to offense. They needed to disrupt the architect's plans, to dismantle the Luminary Brotherhood before their influence spread further. The decoded messages from Eleanor's great-grandfather's journal became their roadmap. The ancient sites, the coordinates, were not just markers. They were nodes in a network, points of convergence where the Luminary Brotherhood channeled their power. They were preparing for a grand ritual, a culmination of their centuries-long efforts, a ritual that would unlock the full potential of the hidden library. The team, using cutting-edge technology and ancient lore, began to map out the network to identify the central node, the point of origin for the ritual. They discovered that the central node was located beneath an ancient monastery in the remote mountains of Tibet, a place shrouded in mystery and legend. Agent Davies, realizing the urgency, assembled a team of specialists, experts in combat, cryptography, and ancient languages. They prepared for a covert operation, a mission to infiltrate the monastery and disrupt the ritual before it could be completed. Eleanor, despite her age, insisted on joining the mission. She felt a deep connection to the locket, a sense of responsibility to protect its power. She also felt a burning desire to confront the architect, to face the darkness that had haunted her family for generations. The team arrived in Tibet under the cover of darkness, their movements shrouded in secrecy. They infiltrated the monastery, a labyrinth of ancient corridors and hidden chambers, their senses heightened, their weapons drawn. They discovered the central chamber, a vast, cavernous space where the Luminary Brotherhood was preparing for their ritual. In the center of the chamber, they saw the architect, his face hidden behind a mask of obsidian, his body adorned with strange symbols. Around him, robed figures chanted in a forgotten language, their voices echoing through the chamber, shaking the very foundations of the monastery. They were channeling their energy, focusing their intent, preparing to open a portal to the hidden library. The locket, held aloft by the architect, pulsed with a dark energy, its light casting long, distorted shadows across the chamber walls. The air crackled with tension, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Agent Davies, realizing they were running out of time, gave the order. "Engage!" The team moved in, their weapons blazing, their voices echoing through the chamber. The robed figures, caught off guard, scrambled to react, their chants turning into panicked cries. A fierce battle ensued. The team fought with courage and determination, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. The robed figures, empowered by the dark energy of the locket, fought with superhuman strength and agility. In the midst of the chaos, Eleanor confronted the architect. He turned to her, his eyes glowing with an unearthly light, his voice a chilling whisper. "You cannot stop what is coming, Eleanor. It is your destiny." He raised the locket, its dark energy surging, preparing to unleash its power. But Eleanor, remembering her great-grandfather's words, remembered the true purpose of the locket. It wasn't just a key. It was a shield, a protector against dark forces. She reached into her pocket, pulling out the silver coin Jake had given her. She pressed the coin against the locket, and a blinding light erupted, engulfing the chamber. The dark energy of the locket recoiled, its light flickering and fading. The architect cried out in pain, his form flickering and distorting. The robed figures, their connection to the locket severed, collapsed to the ground, their power drained. The portal, which had begun to open, collapsed, its swirling darkness vanishing into nothingness. The chamber was silent, the air still thick with the residue of dark energy. The architect, his form now human, his mask shattered, lay on the ground, his eyes filled with fear and regret. It was Arthur Finch. Eleanor's heart sank. The man she had once trusted, the man who had stolen her locket, was the leader of the Luminary Brotherhood. He had manipulated her, used her family's legacy for his own twisted agenda. "Why, Arthur?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why did you do this?" Arthur Finch, his voice weak, replied, "Power, Eleanor. I sought power, knowledge, a chance to transcend the limitations of mortality." He looked at the locket, now glowing with a pure white light. "But I was wrong," he whispered. "I was blinded by ambition. I lost sight of what truly mattered." He looked at Eleanor, his eyes filled with remorse. "Forgive me, Eleanor," he said, his voice barely audible. "I have failed you." He took one last breath, and then he was gone. The chamber was silent, the only sound the gentle hum of the locket's light. Eleanor looked at the locket, now a symbol of hope, a beacon against the darkness. The team secured the monastery, dismantling the Luminary Brotherhood's network, exposing their secrets to the world. The world watched in shock as the truth was revealed, the dark forces that had been manipulating their lives for centuries. Eleanor returned to Havenwood, her life forever changed by the events she had witnessed. She carried the weight of her experiences, the knowledge of the darkness that lurked in the shadows, but she also carried the hope that good could triumph over evil. She placed the locket in its velvet-lined box, a reminder of her strength, her connection to her past. She knew that the fight was never truly over, that the shadows would always linger, but she also knew that she would always be ready to face them. And as she looked out at the peaceful town of Havenwood, she knew that she had finally found her peace. The missing heirloom had led her on a journey of discovery, a journey that had revealed the true treasure, the strength of her family, the power of truth, and the enduring light that shone within her heart.